The long-awaited Superman trailer is finally with us, and now we know what this film is all about, so let's get to the breakdown. So starting off right there with the first shot, we can see that Superman has a bit of an accident as he does not stick the landing. More than likely leading us to believe, and maybe the trailer's just framed that way, but maybe he, I don't know, is battling somebody and gets badly hurt. Whatever the case is, we see that Superman is pretty bad off in our first, look at him, I guess. Now, before this scene continues in the trailer, we do get some more establishing shots of the film and area surrounding it, including Clark Kent himself rushing through a massive crowd of people to get to his job, which of course is at the Daily Planet. We also briefly get a look at the outside of the Daily Planet. You of course got, Earth right there with the logo and everything. We saw in the teaser trailer the globe is fully on top of the building, so it all checks out as Superman, Quick highlight of the director in case you didn't know who he is. We'll come back to this in just a second. But for right now, let's get to this shot inside of the Daily Planet. You see again the Daily Planet in the back, and you see screens everywhere running the news, people trying to get the story together at their own, little tables and cubicles in the back, as you can see. We then got a shot of Lois Lane as she's coming into frame, just picking up some coffee or whatever, and again, behind her, the news is running. People do seem to be fixated on the news during this scene a little bit more, so I'm guessing this is one of the major fights that breaks out. Again, back on that in just a moment. We also got another shot of Clark Kent, what I assume is right next to his desk, or not his desk. I mean, this is Lois's desk, and I'm assuming he's looking on it. She's gonna be like, "What are you doing, Smallville?" That typical line that they always like to drop in everything Superman, and he's probably gonna bumble around. Right there in the foreground, though, we got Jimmy Olsen looking at a newspaper. And I said we would swing back around to it, and here we are, director of Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. Again, some people are already mad at this. Guys, they need to let people know that this is the guy that directed 3 films you loved. Here you go, come see the new Superman. We then got our first look at the Kent farm, which definitely looks a lot different than what most people are used to. But again, the Kent farm evolves, so, it is what it is. The important part here is Pa Kent, who looks to be in a pretty serious discussion and an emotional one with Clark. I'm gonna guess James Gunn is throwing us a curveball, and that Ma Kent dies and Pa stays alive. Just, for the sake of remixing things up, because as far as I saw, we don't ever see her, so that's just my speculation. We finally cut back to the opening of the trailer with Clark crashing down over in the frozen wastelands, the tundra, whatever you want to call it, and he was asking for help. This is the help of Krypto the Superdog. Yes, the dog has superpowers. Yes, this is comic book accurate. Yes, this is a thing that happens. I know some people don't believe it, but it is, and I'm pretty excited to see how this plays out. It's going to be interesting to see a superpowered Krypto, to say the least. Next up, we got a shot that's going to upset some people, but it's Clark Kent saving children. In this scene specifically, we see him as he kind of swoops in as there's a pretty horrific accident about to happen to a little girl. I don't know, 7, 8 years old, whatever you will. Yeah, he saves her and obviously, is protecting her. It's a pretty cool looking scene in the trailer. Very nicely mixed with the CG and practical, which you can see is on the set. Then we shift on over to Superman flying by a building before we see Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, turn around, and he looks rather pissed. More on this in just a little bit, but I really like the sense of Luthor here and the wealth he has, along with, the Luthor name, because we see the building that he's in. And you can tell that this Luthor Corp is going for a much different approach than what we've seen in previous versions. I mean, this is a lot more big and, imposing over the entire city. It definitely looks like his building is the biggest in the city, and it's 2 of them connected by this unique bridge, arch, whatever you want to call it, and you can tell his office is right in the middle. Speaking of that, let's cut straight to Lex with a revolver. I'm gonna guess, this is just a guess, but it's probably loaded with a kryptonite bullet, I would assume, and it's him looking like, he's fed up and he wants to take out Superman. My guess is in this version, Lex saw himself as the hero of the people, you know? And it's like, oh, I'm going to save them with the wealth and everything I got. But he's a corrupt billionaire, and now he's sick and tired of Superman taking the spotlight when he should be the hero of Metropolis. Anyways, though, after that, we got a shot of Superman in a containment cell who ends up punching out of it in a pretty cool scene with this, like, weird, like, wide-angle fisheye lens. Almost looks GoPro-y. I'm not saying it's shot on a GoPro, but you get what I'm saying with the style of it. It's a pretty cool scene showing Superman break out of it. I'm guessing this is when he willingly let himself be taken in. Or, you know, like, they took him in willingly and then suddenly things start to go down. He's like, yeah, I'm out of here to save the city, guys, so arrest me when I'm back, you know? Superman, of course, inspires hope, and we see a little child somewhere, we don't know exactly where, but it's clearly a poverty-stricken country as he raises a makeshift Superman flag asking for help. Obviously, we are playing the angle of hope, Superman, you know, the savior, so here you go. A very dirtied up Superman walking through a crowd of people that seem to not want him here and are throwing things at his head. My guess is that he's sort of been maybe framed as a bad guy, or a lot of collateral damage was caused by something we're going to talk about in just a minute. We then got a shot of Superman inside of a building with tons of people outside. No idea what this is. Very interesting scene though, so I guess we'll see maybe in the future trailers or TV spots a little bit more of this. A couple of shots of the Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion. Yes, he's got that ridiculous bowl haircut, so James Gunn was not lying when he said that would appear. He's obviously using his ring's powers. And here's another shot of it. He's clearly putting up like a green force field so people can't see in, and whatever Clark is looking at as the Justice League International shows up. And speaking of them, there's another shot we're going to jump right into, which is Hawkgirl flying in to fight something. We don't see it at this specific moment. We'll talk about it in just a second, but we got to talk about somebody else, which is Metamorpho. Our one shot of him, and we know they did Metamorpho practically, so he looks pretty cool. But you know what else looks cool? Something that leaked with action figures, a giant kaiju in Metropolis. My guess is that this scene takes place after the scene with the Green Lanterns coming in and Superman entering the building, and they go out, they fight this thing. Tons of collateral damage happen. They then land, but Superman maybe caused a little too much damage, and now everybody's turning on him. Then we got Frank Grillo's character, Rick Flag Sr., show up. They arrest him. I'm getting all this from the set photos, mind you. And then we get to the, you know, rest of the film, and Lex Luthor going, I can become the hero if I just put down the menace that just destroyed Metropolis. Speaking of destruction, there's another scene right here of a building falling. Again, I'm assuming this is the kaiju doing the damage, and the heroes do not prevent this, causing loss of life and, well, a lot of damage to Metropolis. We got a scene of Lex Luthor looking pretty intensely pissed. Again, if you look at the background behind him, his office is definitely in the middle of that little, you know, bridge between the two buildings, and it looks like he's seen better days. My guess is that this is right before the final act. Now, I did quickly rearrange some of the images here to structure the conversation, but again, right here, it's obviously like the first look we got at David as Superman with the eyeball thing behind him. Quite obviously, this is, as we see in the trailer, when these two have a relationship and he's ready to go, maybe fearing he could die during this fight, because it looks pretty emotional. And speaking of death and emotion, the death of a robot in the Fortress of Solitude. My guess is that this represents, like, his family, and the robot is destroyed, so he's not going to have any contact with them anymore. Like, not even, you know, like the hologram or anything like that, and he feels a real sense of loss again, because now he doesn't even have an AI that's sort of based on his parents from Krypton. A scene of Superman fighting somebody, and if we just take a closer look, we can tell this is in fact Mr. Terrific he's fighting, and that's interesting because James Gunn has teased that that's going to be an angle, but again, we just don't know to what extent. And last up is our final shot we're going to talk about here with Superman and Lois doing the iconic kiss as they float. It's pretty awesome. This is what you know Superman for. It's one of the most iconic scenes ever. And here it is. They're perfectly recreating it here. So that is it, everybody. That is the trailer. I think it's pretty amazing overall. Again, they still got some time to, you know, run it back, fix some of the CG and issues. But overall, I'm really happy with it. I think it's a solid trailer. I can't wait to see what they do with the next trailer and the spots and merchandise and posters and all that, because I'm guessing the marketing is going to be all about hope, obviously. Well, everybody, thank you for watching that video, and as always, you can like, subscribe, share, do whatever you will. Check out the recommended video that's popped up somewhere on the screen, and also if you would like additional content, including more discussions and more unfiltered content, check out what we offer to the members section, which has new videos going up all the time.